Welcome to the podcast that goes crazy for Minot sports news, highlights, stats, info, and anything you can just about imagine. And welcome to Double Digits. If you've made it this far, congrats. Thank you for listening. Wherever and whenever that may be, you have made it to Double Digits of Season 2. Greetings once again from the KMSU Broadcasting Studios here inside Hartnett Hall at Minot State University. This is the Minot Sports Podcast, brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. As always, another good one coming your way with more sports scores and info to take in from the wonderful city that we live in, the magic city of Minot, North Dakota. Of course, we've been busy with sports happening. Minotauros and MSU men's hockey just getting underway in their new seasons. Some volleyball winding down on the regular season now and heading into districts or the play-in tournament, whatever it may be for Class A and Class B. We've got it on here. Also football falling into that fall realm of the sports environment for high school. Minot High and Bishop Ryan. One team is done. The other, however, they are just beginning the real season. The real season begins now for them. Some track and field, swim and dive, also heading into their respective postseasons. So a lot of playoff talk in this, going to be going on in this episode. All this and more. Again, I'm very fortunate enough to be recording inside the KMSU Broadcasting Studios here at Minot State University. Be sure to check out our sponsors, KMSU TV and Radio on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Trucking along with the weekly MSU Inside Out episodes. I am fortunate enough to be a co-host, conducting some interviews and making some new connections along the way. Also follow the podcast on social media where you will find more up-to-date news, highlights, scores, just about anything, like I said, you can imagine. Those can be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, where we post all of the podcast episodes on there. It finally feels good to be back in the studios. I've just been busy with homework, all the sporting events, making us busy this time around. In the era that we're in right now, lots of sports still yet coming back and maybe even more on the way. But a lot has happened since our last episode, so let's just quickly summarize the scores, and I'm probably going to forget one here and there. If I do, remind me, guys, but I'm going to go through the list, and let's get started, because it's been a while, and we need to get rolling on these scores. We last recorded on October 14th, last uploaded on October 18th, so you can probably guess what I mean by what has happened since. We'll talk a little football first, football scores, as well as other sports that have happened since, and then we'll get right into my thoughts and summaries of what has happened since. Well, let's get into it. Starting off with football, Minot High Magicians completing the regular season, second to last game against the Bismarck Legacy Sabres. Sabres take that one 31-28. And that was the one Minot High needed to win to have a chance in the postseason, but they are eliminated. Sabres would hold on to stay alive. So then that left them with a Wednesday night tilt with the Williston Coyotes. And so really nothing much to play for either side in that one. And for Minot, sending the seniors off with a victory, sending them off into the sunset with a win, 39-14 over the Williston Coyotes, who ended up winless on this season. So Minot High finishing strong despite going 2-5 in the regular season. Again, they do not make the postseason. That was interesting on my part to say Minot High had a chance to make it, but I have my optimism, and you guys should too, but we all have our opinions, and there were a lot of positives to take away. There were a lot of highlights to take away from this Magi football squad. They fought, and they were competitive in some of the games, especially the one against number 1 Century. That's a huge one. There is a chance that they may come out and they repeat that again, if not to actually win over one of the Bismarck teams or keep it close again. But the important thing is that it's going to be all about the growth for them. Kind of a rebuild season for them, but if they can get growth out of it, and if they can work that to get better for next season, look out. Because when their best players are their best players, and if they establish that run game early, Ruziska's a great running back. Trevor Emke has that cannon of an arm. Just need to figure out the accuracy. This Minot High team could do some damage next year. Keeping it on Minot High, Majets Volleyball, they still play at this time that I'm recording. They took on the Dickinson Midgets, swept them at 3-0. They're still kind of hanging around in the middle of the pack in the standings currently. They may actually, with the play-in standings and the format, they may have to head out on the road coming up here when it comes to postseason play, and it'll be interesting to see how they play that out because lately we've seen them and Watford City at MCC for those matchups, and to see the differences this year in the standings, it's going to be a lot more interesting now. Minotauros hockey, last time we talked about them, they played the Bismarck Bobcats, went 1-0-1, regulation win, 1-0, and then 3-2 in the shootout for Bismarck. So then, to summarize, to cap off what we've seen in the past couple weekends, they faced the Minnesota Wilderness. They went 1-0-1 again. They got the regulation win 4-2, but then losing in overtime 5-4 on last Saturday's game. So now they're at 2-0-2, and then just this past weekend, they played the St. Cloud Norsemen. Yes, you heard that right. The Norsemen, no longer called the Blizzard. They rebranded to the Norsemen, rebranded jerseys, uniforms, everything involved with it. They've been struggling the past couple years, and that is the case again this year. They were hoping to at least get something out of it, some more fans, some more recognition, got a new logo and everything. So they made their debut as the Norsemen. They made their Mesa Arena debut as the Norsemen this past weekend, with the Toros entering 2-0-2 record. This one wasn't a third straight 1-0-1 weekend. The Toros picking up both regulation wins against the struggling Norsemen. Toros on Friday night picking up the 6-3 win, and then following up with a 4-1 score. Better defensive game for Minot. The goals were still up there. There is the weekend sweep for your Toros. We will have more on that in a second. Moving on to some more scores to get them out of the way before I give my thoughts and my summaries. Minot State men's hockey opened up their new season against the Williston State Tetons. I heard it was pronounced differently, but I can't recall correctly how it is, but I've heard Tetons most of the time. But with that said, Minot State men's hockey season opener was on October 16th. Like I said, recorded last on October 14th. Beavers were in Williston. And how about for 9-0 as your opening game for your Minot State men's hockey team? They win at 9-0 over the Williston State Tetons. Although you got to take into consideration Williston State is Division II, and same can be said for U-Mary. So with what's going on right now, obviously, there's going to be a lot more in-state traveling, a lot of more neighboring states that will travel, maybe not as much as inside the state, but they got to get to their games any way that they can. So Beavers making a simple trip to Williston, as they will also make some easier trips to Bismarck and Jamestown as well, which we will get to Jamestown in a moment here, actually. So 9-0 over the Williston State Tetons. Your Beavers are 1-0, and then the next day on Saturday, Beavers once again putting up another 9 spot. However, giving up 2 goals in the process doesn't matter anyway. They still get the win, 9-0, and then 9-2 on Saturday. Beavers starting off 2-0, and then this past weekend, a home-and-home series with the Jamestown Jimmies. Friday, a little bit more closer than what Saturday presented to us. Beavers were in Jamestown to take on the University of Jamestown Jimmies. And so with that on Friday, goals were hard to come by in this one, as Minot State, they get the win once again, but having to do it in the shootout. But a win's a win, no matter what fashion you get it in. 2-1 over the Jamestown Jimmies on Friday night. So the Jimmies faithful out there in Jamestown, and some Minot State fans probably traveled as well. Not sure what the protocols are there, but 2-1, some extra hockey for them. And then on Saturday, they would come to Minot, where the Beavers would be the host team for the second game of the weekend series at the Pepsi rink at the Mesa Arena. 4 o'clock was puck drop. Your home opener, the home opener for your Beavers, was quite different to a 2-1 score in the shootout. Beavers getting this one in regulation. It was 4-2. Jimmy's holding on by a single thread as Minot State was just putting on the pressure, and there was a lot of physicality being played out. Talked to Justin Metcalf about it. He said that is part of their game plan, is to kind of get in the heads of the in-state rivals. You never want to get them any chances, but for how good Jamestown was last year, so far what we've seen just in this past weekend looks quite different. Yeah, they did give Minot State a run for their money. Despite that, Minot still got the win. Saturday, when I say Jamestown was hanging on by a thread, I mean they had to rely on their goalie a lot. Minot State got a lot of shots off, and they had 4 goals to show for it. But the thing with them is that Minot State just kept steamrolling over them, and there's a lot of offensive zone time for your Beavers, a lot of pressure. Again, that physicality probably had an effect on the Jimmies, and who knows, that probably was the game plan for success for your Beavers. And honestly, however that went, it was successful for them, and they got the weekend sweep over a team that has been giving them fits in the past couple seasons, and they were actually bound to meet in the tournament, the ACHA tournament, this past March, but of course the COVID cancellation made that not possible. So we've seen quite a difference already with this Beaver squad attacking the Jimmies with their physicality and pressure this way. Will that hold up? I'll have a little bit more on that later once we get done with these scores. Again, kind of a little different format for this episode. There's a lot that happened since we last recorded, so let's get the scores out of the way. Make sure keep it fair for everyone. So there's, for men's hockey, for women's hockey, MSU women's getting started kind of in a little preseason inter-squad game between Team White and Team Green. A little fun-filled action for the fans, at least the ones that were able to be there in attendance. Team White coming away with the 5-4 victory, and as a bonus, the game went all the way to a shootout. So extra hockey, especially in an inter-squad game, definitely cannot go wrong with that. On the day before MSU women's hockey, actually on the same day as the men's team played, let's talk about Bishop Ryan a little bit. For football, they capped off the regular season with a win against Garrison Max. That was in Garrison Max, actually. 48-0 shutout for them. Of course, dominating business as usual mentality. Their top guys were playing lights out once again. Before that, I'm pretty sure I referenced this already. They beat Delax Burlington 21-6 for their second to last game of the regular season. And so now they ended up with a 7-2 overall record, I believe, off the top of my head. I think that is the case. That is good for second in Region 3, if I also remember. I'm pretty sure that was so. With the playoff format, they would go on to face the Killdeer Cowboys in round 1 of the Class A North Dakota High School Football State Tournament. For Bishop Ryan, it was a little interesting, made by the Killdeer Cowboys. They were the 3rd seed in their respective region, and so you never wanted to take them for granted. And like I said, they made it a little interesting in there. They got some scoring drives. They were in contention with Bishop Ryan for a little bit there until halftime. It was 32-6. That was when the Lions got in the driver's seat and just said, we're going to take this and we're going to take it all the way. And that is exactly what they did. 40-18 was the final score. Bishop Ryan Lions moving on to the quarterfinals, where they will take on Shiloh Christian. Logan Merck, what a heck of a game for him in the first round against Killdeer. Jackson Feller also picking up a touchdown. Nick Sanders still playing as phenomenal as he has, throwing the ball through the air, and the defense once again with another phenomenal performance. 18 points, but in a playoff game, given up, that is still pretty darn good. Couldn't have asked for anything better than that. So, and Killdeer, they had their chances, they had their talent come in, and it's difficult to hold a team of that caliber to, heck, even to hold them under 20 points. That's impressive job for the Bishop Ryan Lions. For Class B volleyball, the Knights and Lions, Knights from R.E. Deemers, Lions from Bishop Ryan, they are getting ready as we speak for the District 12 volleyball tournament. Going to be a little different this year, obviously, because of what we're going through at this time during this era. The higher seeded teams, according to the District 12 bracket, which came out not too long ago, and I've had to make some adjustments to that, the higher seeded teams will host their respective opponents in the bracket, and it ended up being Delax Burlington 1, R.E. Deemers 2, Bishop Ryan 3. So those three will host their first round matchups, or if you're Delax, after those adjustments that were made to the bracket, they will be hosting in round 2, of their end of things. But for Bishop Ryan and R.E. Deemers, there's a chance that if they both win, they get to meet in the second round of the other half of the bracket, where they were placed at, being the number 2 and 3 seeds. But we will wait to see what that comes about. Gotta win your first matchup first. We'll talk more on that in a little bit, but finishing off with regular season scores for both the Knights and the Lions. I believe I mentioned already, Knights sweeping the MLS Mavericks 3-0. That was on October 13th. So they faced off with Dickinson Trinity after that. The Titans, however, proving too much for R.E. Deemers as they get swept 3-0. The Titans sweeping over the Knights. Just a bad game, tough one for the Knights there. As all good teams do, they just forget about it, move on, and get ready for the next one. So then for Bishop Ryan, they took on, as I'm trying to frantically look for some of their scores, they actually also faced the same Dickinson Trinity Titans the next day. So Dickinson Trinity actually making a quick weekend trip to Minot, where they took on both R.E. Deemers and Bishop Ryan. Titans swept not only the Knights, but they also swept the Lions. Bishop Ryan almost had that first set. That could have been a real huge momentum swing for Bishop Ryan. I know it was only the first set, but had Bishop Ryan got that set victory, who knows how the matchup could have turned out to be. But the Titans coming back to win it and then just rolling through it through their 3-0 over the Lions, just like they did with the Knights, as mentioned already. Dickinson Trinity proving to be no match so far in the regular season for Bishop Ryan and R.E. Deemers. Trinity just rolled through Minot like that. And then, of course, like I said, as all teams do this, they get ready for the next matchup. That's what Bishop Ryan did. Wasn't much better, but still getting a set victory over the Kenmare Honkers. The Honkers winning that one 3-1 over Bishop Ryan. And that was to be the final regular season game for Bishop Ryan Lions volleyball there. I missed a score for Minot Jets volleyball. Like I said, guys, there was a lot that happened since we last recorded. They sweep the Bismarck St. Mary's Saints 3-0. There may actually be a chance that is the play-in matchup they will be facing off with. But I don't have the standings off the top of my head, but look for Minot and St. Mary's to be a potential play-in matchup between those two. I believe I mentioned 3-0 over the Dickinson Midgets also. I was there for that one. Unfortunately, got a feel for the Minot High fans as the COVID limitations have been now announced just for parents and family, anyone with vouchers pretty much. And it's unfortunate, but we know you guys are cheering loud and proud for your respective teams. Also, same can be said for the MSU men's and women's hockey teams. They are also under strict restrictions there. Minot Jets Swim and Dive just recently had their senior night meet. That was against Williston, which I missed another score for Minot Jets Volleyball. That same day, they were in Watford City. Just quick note, Wolves sweep Jets 3-0. But the important topic that was at hand, Minot Jets Swimming senior night, they take down the Coyotes 122-61. And then they had another meet in Bismarck. They got second place once again behind Century, but they got a team score of 402 team points. So they are racking them up for sure. A little side note for Minot Jets Golf in the state tournament. I forgot to mention Savannah Brintonell got 15th place for her scoring at that tournament. Don't want to leave anyone out there. Congrats goes out to Minot High and Bishop Ryan, who placed in the state cross-country tournament in Jamestown and finishing up their respective seasons. Trinity Jessen finishing off nicely. 4th place in the WDA race with all WDA honors and including all state honors in that resume. And she got 8th place in the state tourney meet. She's only a sophomore, by the way, so she's got a bright future ahead of her, and who knows where she will be in her future races. There is a good chance that she will top these times that she's posted and finish higher up there in those races, so looking forward to see what she can do in the coming years. That should just all about do it for scores. Ran it through a lot of it. And so now, let's get into some summarizing of some of the games. I'll actually start off talking about Delax Burlington Volleyball. Now, the thing with them is that we haven't given them any coverage at all. That was up until not too long ago. I went to see them, and of course, put on some highlights on social media. They were taking on the Velva Aggies, who are also pretty good in the Region 6 conference. But Delax just not giving them anything to work with. They swept 3-0, the Lakers did, over the Aggies. I was fortunate enough to talk to Addison Hughes, future MSU Beaver, by the way. So is Kendall Braun from RE Deemers, if I haven't mentioned that in an earlier show. Lots of effectiveness moving the ball up high, and those attention to details have been very effective for Delax, and a huge reason why they are in first place in the District 12 Region 6 division. Oh, by the way, they got a nice gym up there. They got a really nice school, guys. If you ever get the chance to go see Delax Burlington in action, go see them. You won't be disappointed. They put on a good product out there, too. But yes, they were very effective in moving the ball, and a lot of those details, just Velva didn't have an answer for them, and they almost made it interesting, but they were just, Delax gave them nothing, and that is what led to the sweep. And so they're sitting nice and comfortably in the first seed, one of the top, if not the top team in Region 6. Of course, RE Deemers and Bishop Ryan, they will prove to be steady competition up there too. But District 12 tournament coming up pretty quickly here. Should be a fun time, especially covering some high-quality North Dakota high school volleyball. Can't go wrong there. Again, should be a fun time. I'll talk a little bit of hockey now before we get into the Beavers that just started. We'll continue on with the Toros, who are just kind of fairly ahead of Minot State in their season. What I've noticed from these past few weekends with the move of Shane Wagner to head coach And so far, a good 4 games against good teams like Bismarck and Minnesota, going 2-0-2. The defensive style, they've gotten a lot stronger at it. Kind of also at a bend, don't break scenario. Teams have spent a fair amount of time in the Toros offensive zone lately, but the Toros, I've seen they've gotten their sticks in the way a lot, and they're not giving up as much high-quality chances. Now, obviously, those are going to happen every so once in a while. Yes, the Toros even get some themselves, but I've noticed with the Toros defense, it's improved. Again, that bend it, don't break outlook, though. You want to make sure that you have your lanes clogged. Give those opposing team shooters not much. I haven't seen them getting beat off the edge a lot, and that's good. They're committed to defense and keeping awareness, keeping that hockey sense up. And they've been scoring goals in the process, too. So their defense has improved a lot. They're scoring goals at it. Joseph Harguindeguy, third-year NAHLer now. And to see him having this start to the season that he's having, it is good to see for a guy like him looking to make a jump into the next league or whatever the future holds for him. He is a speedy, quick, skating winger. Actually also plays center too, looking at the starting lineups from this past weekend. He's got the talent to put the puck in the net. Another guy that also has shown some flashes of putting the puck in the net, Damon Zimmer. Now, although he made an amazing pass to Joey Moffett for the tap-in goal, Damon Zimmer, he's one of those guys you want on your team. Not only does he utilize some skill, but he's got a knack for going to the net, taking away the goalie's vision, kind of hovering around that goal crease, looking for those dirty goals, those rebounds popping up everywhere. If you've been to a Toros game this year, if you have not seen Damon Zimmer in the crease once, whether it was on the power play or in some offensive zone pressure for Minot, look again. Just look for number 72, whether it's in white or tan or maroon or black, whatever jerseys the Toros wear. 72 in white, usually, Damon Zimmer. Look for him around the crease because he will wreak havoc, and it's paying off for him. You got to pay the price to get those goals, and yeah, he's had to face a lot of hits, a lot of checks. He's facing a lot of pressure on him from those defenders that are just hovering over him, but he's fighting in front of that net, and he's battling, and he's getting those pucks that have been rebounded or those loose pucks that are right there for an easy tap-in goal, whatever it may be. He's making it count, and we're seeing a nice breakout season from him. Toros' special teams were much better, I'd say, on Saturday. Friday night, the St. Cloud Norsemen were 3 for 4. That wasn't going to cut it on Saturday night, so the Toros hunkered down on that, and they fixed that, and they made improvements to it, and they actually scored some power play goals themselves. You always want to be on the winning end of those special teams battles. And the Toros made some improvements on that, especially on Saturday. They are off this weekend, but their next home series won't be until November 20th, I believe. So some time off and then some games on the road coming up for them. Moving over to their Pepsi Rink neighbors, the Minot State men's hockey team. As I mentioned earlier, they swept to Williston and then they swept to Jamestown. They remain undefeated. I mentioned earlier all the pressure and physicality that the Beavers put on Jamestown. That was the case for, I knew Saturday because I was there for it. I wasn't there for the Friday game in Jamestown. But the Beavers, it looks like they've instilled kind of a rivalry type mindset with the Jimmies for how much trouble they've given them, that they went after them early, and it seems like this team got a little stronger this year. I'll be honest. That or Jamestown just, for whatever reason, didn't seem or didn't feel like the team that they were last year that competed well with this Beavers team. But the Beavers, when I say strong, it was a strong outing for them. They've gotten stronger in the physicality, and they're still scoring goals. And Chad Duran, new goalie transfer for the team, he played a nice game. Plays an aggressive style form, kind of to the Jonathan Quick type of game that he plays. He helped backstop the Beavers to some victories. But for Minot State to have these outings against Jamestown, like I said, for how much Jamestown has given Minot State some fits and troubles the past couple years, they've been getting better as a program. Something about this first weekend, they just didn't seem like it, or the Beavers got stronger, or they implemented, it could be as easy as they implemented a more physical game plan where they went after the Jimmies, got in their heads under their skin a little bit. And there were actually a lot of scrums in that game. A lot of penalties were handed out, more than I would think, more than what the Toros had with St. Cloud and Minnesota, although I can't recall clearly. Those in-state rivalries, they're definitely going to have some physicality to them. That is what Minot State used to add to their identity. And will we see this again? I'd say yes. Most likely we will. If the Beavers continue to do this, we may see the Beavers hockey team start to pick up on some more wins against the in-state rival Jamestown Jimmies. And what does that mean going through the season? 4 years where Minot State has dominated Jamestown, and then this past year and a little bit the year before, Jamestown has dominated Minot. We're starting to see that shift trend back in the Beavers' direction, whether they've gotten stronger or Jamestown just wasn't ready or didn't look the same or doesn't look the same as last year. Who knows? They still have Tyson Brower in net. He's still a good netminder. They still have a lot of their top-end forwards and talent from last year. So who knows? We may need a bigger sample size with this one, just like the Toros. But for now, all that matters is that the Beavers are off to a great start, being undefeated, and having swept Jamestown already in a weekend series. That is huge moving forward. And so we will see if that continues to trend upward for your Minot State men's hockey team. We've gone through a lot this episode, so I will talk once more on the District 12 volleyball tournament, the bracket, before we head off here. Like I said, there were adjustments made. Some teams are probably having to forfeit or something of that nature with, again, what we're dealing with in these times, the COVID situation. The updated bracket, as of right now, looks like DLB versus Glenburn on Friday. The tournament actually starts Thursday, October 29th, but DLB's first game won't be until Friday, October 30th versus Glenburn. So, with MLS and Surrey, whatever happened there, obviously, again, with COVID situation or forfeiting, I don't know what happened, but DLB and Glenburn will play in the District 12 semifinals. And then, for some of the Minot teams in town, RE Deemers, again, the highest seeded team gets to host the matchups. So with RE Deemers being number 2, they get to host South Prairie on a Thursday, October 29th. And on that same day, number 3 Bishop Ryan will host Berthold. And so those quarterfinal matchups are set to go for District 12. That is the bracket. Actually, I missed a little detail. MLS will play in the region qualifier between DLB and Glenburn, as it looks like Surrey has had to move out of the bracket. Like I said, something happened, and again, I don't want to speculate. It's probably a forfeit, but we don't know. Most likely, but MLS rounding out the bracket, they're in a region qualifier game, and that'll be against DLB and Glenburn. As for the other half of the bracket, RE Deemers versus South Prairie, Bishop Ryan versus Berthold, those games will commence on Thursday. And so all there is along with there is DLB and Glenburn, and of course, whoever wins those two matchups between the Knights and Royals and Lions And Bombers, they will play in the District 12 other semifinal game. And there's actually a chance if our Redeemers beats South Prairie and Bishop Ryan beats Berthold, they will meet in that other semifinal set that will also happen on Friday, October 30th, same day as DLB and Glenburn. So if both those teams win, that will be certainly very fun to catch. Looking forward to seeing if those turn out what we hope for, at least. But like I said, MLS already in a region qualifier due to Surrey, again, forfeiting or whatever happened there. But that is the District 12 Volleyball Tournament bracket. I'm recording this episode the same day as Minot Jets Volleyball getting ready to host the Mandan Braves for Minot's final home matchup of the Class A season, regular season that is. So that is all we are going to cover with this long episode 10. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, making it all the way to double digits into season 2. Like I said, it's been a while. Feels good to be back in the studio. Been dealing with a lot of homework, have other responsibilities to take care of, and as well covering a whole bunch of sports here in town, getting some interviews out to you guys to check out on the social media pages. I've been finally getting some more of those older interviews posted to YouTube, just a couple a day, or if I feel ambitious enough, I will get the rest of those uploaded, but going on a day-by-day basis, you will probably see one being uploaded every day, so we will get that in working order for all of them soon. But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Minot Sports Podcast. This has been a really long episode. Talked a lot in the Minot sports world. Playoff season is upon us. Some teams just even getting done. So now, guys, that is it for this one. Again, the Minot Sports Podcast is brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. Check them out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as YouTube. And you can also find the podcast on those very same social media brands as well. Also check out MSU Inside Out, the weekly TV show produced by KMSU TV. I am lucky enough to be a co-host on there, talking lots of news, weather, and sports going on in the Magic City. So check that out every Thursday at 5. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Stay safe and healthy out there. And as always, take care.